The nation stands at a familiar place, a mountaintop of reckoning, and below in the courts and airwaves, in boardrooms and back channels, the prophets of Baal speak. They dress their words in patriotism and profit, call corruption strategy and parade betrayal as reform. They speak of markets while stealing the vineyards. They invoke the law while hollowing its foundations. These are not harmless advisors, they are architects of a bust-out, false prophets in service to power, not truth. They have taken the seat of the scribes and corrupted it. They have muzzled the watchmen and called it efficiency. And now, like in the days of Ahab, the institutions of the people are being stripped, one timber at a time, while the people are told to be grateful for the ash. But the pattern is known, the method is exposed, and just as Elijah stood before the king and demanded a reckoning, not in secret but in the full light of day, so must we call this what it is: the deliberate dismantling of a nation from within for profit and control. Let the people gather, let the stones be set, let the water be poured on the altar. We are not here to argue, we are here to reveal. Stage 1, control the leadership and weaken oversight. In any bust-out scenario, control is the prerequisite. The dismissal of 17 inspectors general combined with the rapid removal of senior military judge advocate generals directly mirrors the early step of seizing managerial control to eliminate internal resistance. Inspectors general function precisely as internal alarm systems. They are independent watchdogs who guard against fraud, waste, and corruption. Their removal effectively disables governmental self-defense mechanisms, making agencies vulnerable to manipulation from above. This strategic action, rapid, broad, and unprecedented, signals a deliberate intent to diminish internal oversight. Red flags here include sudden dismissals without due cause, replacements drawn from overtly political rather than career officials, and rhetoric demonizing traditional oversight bodies. Investigators should be particularly alert to policy decisions, appointments, and firings concentrated around roles responsible for accountability, transparency, and internal ethics. Stage 2. Starve the state and redirect public resources. Reducing taxes significantly while simultaneously imposing substantial funding cuts across critical federal agencies directly aligns with the bust-out methodology of leveraging an entity to its breaking point. Agencies vital to public welfare and stability, such as the CDC, NIH, Social Security Administration, and NSF, are losing crucial financial resources and personnel. Concurrently, funding is redirected toward politically loyal or private entities, such as the Department of Government Efficiency under Elon Musk, and favored private contractors positioned to replace public functions. The intent here is not merely fiscal conservatism. It creates conditions in which public systems inevitably fail, justifying further privatization. Red flags include aggressive tax reductions combined with sudden severe budget cuts to vital public services, strategic budget increases for privatized functions, and the appearance of favored private actors rapidly filling the voids left by these cuts. Investigators and media should probe particularly for undisclosed financial interests, hidden contracts, and privatization deals made hastily and with limited oversight or competition. Good. Stage 3. Loot public assets and prepare for privatization. The liquidation or privatization of publicly owned assets, over 400 federal properties identified for sale, including critical offices used by IRS and Department of Labor, illustrates the hallmark bust-out stage of asset stripping. Simultaneously, entire federal programs like USAID, IMLS, and NSF grants are abruptly defunded, their resources becoming opportunities for privately operated alternatives or simply vanishing into private profit centers. This is extraction, clear and simple. Public assets developed and maintained at taxpayer expense are transferred into private hands, often at undervalued rates. Red flags include rapid non-competitive asset sales involvement of politically connected buyers, loss of public transparency on property disposition, and sudden shifts from publicly managed to private or semi-private operation. Investigative scrutiny should concentrate on tracing ownership, verifying fair market valuation, and uncovering hidden beneficiaries and conflicts of interest. Stage 4. Undermine core functions and accelerate systemic instability. The widespread simultaneous weakening of crucial government functions, Social Security Administration job cuts risking benefit disruptions, IRS staffing reductions hampering tax enforcement, CDC data cuts undermining public health surveillance, reflects the bust-out tactic of intentionally weakening core operational capacity. Intelligence agencies, including the FBI and CIA, traditionally insulated from rapid structural shifts, now also face budget constraints, indicating that systemic destabilization may extend even to national security apparatus. The deliberate speed and scale of these cuts suggest intent beyond mere efficiency. These actions appear aimed at eroding trust in the state's capacity to deliver critical public goods and services. Red flags to watch include widespread operational failures, chronic understaffing leading to visible public service breakdowns, intentional degradation of publicly accessible information, and a sudden reliance on private, often politically connected firms to fill service gaps. Stage 5. Escalate crisis conditions and exploit or conceal collapse. Recent dismissals of senior military leadership and high-ranking JAG officers represent a disturbing elevation toward crisis-oriented governance. In classic bust-out schemes, deliberate chaos often masks final extraction and prevents clear accountability. A weakened, politicized military leadership is inherently vulnerable to misdirection and misuse, particularly in times of real or manufactured emergencies. Intent here manifests through increased political control over the security apparatus, potentially paving the way for declarations of extraordinary powers or national emergencies. Red flags include aggressive rhetoric around perceived internal threats, politicized military appointments, broad invocation of emergency powers without transparent justification, and the targeting of media or institutions that might independently report crises objectively. And now the hour has come, not for debate but for exposure. The pattern has been laid bare. The red flags raised, the actors unmasked. The bust-out is not theoretical, it is visible, audible, undeniable. And still the prophets of Baal chant louder, hoping their spectacle will distract from the broken altar and the stolen inheritance. But this moment is not theirs to define. It belongs to those who will no longer bow, those who will no longer confuse legitimacy with authority or silence with order. It belongs to those who, like Elijah, are willing to stand alone if necessary, but who know they are not alone, not truly. The fire falls where truth demands it. Let the fire fall, not of destruction, but of clarity. Let it consume the illusions, the spin, the misdirection. Let it burn through every contract signed in secrecy, every appointment made in shadow, every sale masked as policy. Let it fall on the false altars of privatized gain and corrupted loyalty. And let the people say again, the truth is God, the truth still stands. This is not the end, it is the beginning of judgment, the beginning of return. So make your choice. The line has been drawn, the altar is built, and the silence before the fire is short.